Alright, so we're looking like a broke ASS Snoopy house in the woods. Alright, that time again. Time for another solo overnighter in the woods. This video right here, I want to piggyback last week's video. Last week was titled Solo Overnight Building a Sandbag Shelter in the Woods. It was outstanding. If you weren't notified and didn't see it, you're not alone. Surprise, surprise. Go back and check that bad boy out. It was outstanding. Alright, this video here, I'm rolling with old school military gear. Get ready. Okay, so here we are. We're at our shelter location. Now, this is my third set that I'm working on. I have two complete sets, and this one's about 85% complete. I've been piecing this together from eBay, Goodwills, swap meets, flea markets, things like that. Also a few dealers that are on eBay that have new old stock. So someone's looking at this going, that stuff looks new, he's never used it, lols. Well, you're right, I never have used this set. And it's about 30 years old, brand new, because it's called new old stock. Google that. So we're rolling with our medium-sized Alice pack, 2-quart container, e-tool, our 782 gear or deuce gear or Y harness. We have our 2-quart canteens, ammo pouches, butt pack or ass pack, and most of the accessories that go with it. So get ready. We're going to get a shelter half or military pup tent right over here and get her done. Okay, so if you want in-depth review of this gear, I have two videos. Just Google that, Corporals Corner, military gear, old school gear, Alice pack, 782 gear, and both those videos are going to come up. Now, I bought this shelter half set used, and by looking at it, I can see that's missing pieces already. We have 8 tent stakes. Usually you have 10 or 12. Sometimes they're green, sometimes they're orange. You have 6 poles, and we have all 6, and 2 shelter halves. Now, real quick how this worked. Each Marine had 1 half, 3 poles, and between 5 and 6 tent stakes. Okay, so to drive our stakes in the ground, we're going to use our e-tool. Now the e-tool is a standard USGI digging shovel, but it's a whole lot more. We have our indentations or serrations on here, which allows it to be a chopper. We can fold it down into a Minecrafty pickaxe. From here, folding it all the way down, it becomes our hammer. And last but not least, but most important, the NCO stool or seat. Take this flap here, you see there's a hole right there. That's all right though. We're going to go ahead and take this flap and place it over top of this one. It sort of shingles it like a roof, and then we're going to go ahead and snap all the buttons in place. And boom, there it is. Okay, so there's more than one way to do this. I'm going to show you the most efficient. Lay it flat, button that seam, one and done. Okay, grab 3 tent stakes. Pick a side, any side, stake it down. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now grab 1 tent pole. I'm going to run it through my grommet on both sides and grab the material and pull that side, flop it over. So one thing that always pissed me off is these things never fit all the way inside. If you pound them in and then try and take them off, the metal male end always seemed to twist off, and then you're duct taping the thing out in the field, and it's just a nightmare. Alright, so we're looking like a broke ASS Snoopy house in the woods. But we can fix that. We have one guy line, I need two, so I have to improvise one. We also have 8 tent stakes instead of 10, so I got to improvise 2 of those. But once I stake out the wings and pull this bad boy tight on both ends, we should be looking outstanding. So all they've done here is, if you look, there's an existing loop right here that we just ran it through. So to improvise one, all I'm going to do on my opposite end is create a bowline and then create a running bowline by passing the end all the way through. And it should work out just fine. At whatever spot I choose, I'm just going to rotate it over and then walk it up that line and pull it through. That creates our Marline spike hitch. Place my spike, or in this case my tent stake, inside. Tighten it down, and now I can stake it in right here. And there you go. Home, sweet hell. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is rain runoff. This is cotton canvas. And there's that smell. Once you smell it, you never forget it. Now, for the most part, these things are waterproof. Okay? The issue was on the inside, if you were to brush or rub against it for a long period of time, you start getting seepage. So a lot of people, what they would do is dig a trench or a moat around the tent. Watching where the slope is, where it meets the ground, just dig out a trench so the water will actually facilitate here coming down, fill that moat or trench, and work its way around the tent. So we're going to do that. As always, all the gear in my videos can be found in 2 places. One, my Amazon influencer page, and 2, my Self-Reliance Outfitters influencer page. And if you're interested in Corporals Corner merchandise, that can be found on Teespring. All 3 links are found inside my description box. Well, that's what we're talking about right there. Okay, so I'm thinking we forego the berm on the inside because this is looking like it's pretty much sealed up and the tent falls into the trench. So we facilitated water runoff and the water will flow around us. I can dig it. NCO AF. Chow time. Boom! It's almost like Christmas time. Just so excited. Okay, so talking about downtime, and the one thing the Marine Corps prides themselves on is hip pocket classes. So just when you think you have some downtime, you're going to sit down, take a nap, relax, bust out some unappropriate reading materials, and all of a sudden, you're called back and your free time or your downtime is absorbed in a hip pocket class. It's nothing more than imperative instruction, a teaching moment, if you will, and we're shooting from the hip. Pew! Okay? Pew, pew, pew. So, let's have a hip pocket class on Mre Dates. Now this one right here came out of a box, and it says they packaged these MREs in 2018, May of 2018, with an inspection date of May 2021. Now, despite what your recruiter told you, or your drill instructor, or hearsay, MREs are good for 3 years and 3 years only. Now, can you eat them 25 years later? Sure, you can take that risk, but they're only meant to last 3 years. There's one authorized MRE site, mreinfo.com. Once again, that's mreinfo.com. It has all the information from the U.S. government, and it states right on there, 3 years. Okay? So with that rumor laid to bed, or put to rest, let's talk about the dating and how to date these and know that you're eating one that falls within that 3-year range. Now once you open this up, every item in here will be stamped with a date code. And the date code consists of 4 numbers. The first number is the actual date. So let's say 2018. The first digit should be an 8. The next 3 digits are nothing more than the day of that year, like the 100th day of 365 days. Make sense? So if it said 8100, it is 2018 on the 100th day. Okay, so these peppermint candy rings have a date code of 8030, 2018 and 30th day of that year. Okay, makes sense? So, someone's going to say, aha, got him. How do we know it's not 2008 instead of 2018? Well, glad you asked that question. The website I gave you, mreinfo.com, shows 2 ways to date MREs. First off, the date codes. Second, if you don't trust the date code, you refer back to the packaging. Every decade, at a minimum every 5 years, but usually every decade, the packaging changes. Things are added, things are taken away. mreinfo.com shows you every single packaging from the dark brown years, 1995, all the way up to the current. So, the important takeaway is, 1, MREs have a shelf life of 3 years, can be eaten longer. You have to inspect it to make sure. 2, there's 2 ways to date the MREs. The date code itself and the packaging. Right now somebody's triggered AF. They're like, Chili Mac, where's the bacon? Come on, bro. Got you covered. If you like what you see here, please do me that favor. Hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. Then take it a step further. Grab your cell phone, download the free YouTube app, and sign in. This will give you push notifications when my new videos drop. Gum, coffee, crushed red pepper, sugar, salt, matches, instant coffee, and no Tabasco. That's un-American AF. That's disappointing, tell you what. But, don't mean nothing. Not a thing. You know why? I got it covered. Corporals Emergency Tabasco. Like my boy King says, keep your pecker hard and your powder dry, and the world will turn. $19.97, baby. Oh man. Corporals Bacon Chili Mac. MRE dudes, Bacon Chili Mac right here. Corporal style. Catch you all in a few. So the mosquitoes are getting kind of bad out here, and at some point I want to light that fire, so I kind of drive them out of here. But first, we got some time. So time for another hip pocket class, and this one's going to be on basic land navigation. Okay, we'll kick this off. This is a Suunto MC2 compass. It is a base plate compass. Why? Because it's a plastic base plate where the bezel ring sits on top. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to look down at my compass, and I'm going to notice that on my base plate there are two plastic lines or tick marks that are on the base plate. One right here, and then one directly below it right here. Think of Back to the Future. The top one tells you where you're going or your azimuth. The bottom one tells you where you were or your reverse azimuth. Okay, so the next thing, you want to look down, you're going to see a white ring. That's called a bezel ring. There's a series of tick marks all the way around it. Those tick marks are your degrees, and every single tick mark is worth 2 degrees. Alright, so lastly, before we kick this bad boy off, we're going to look into our bezel ring, and we're going to see a lot of stuff going on in there. We only care about 2 things. One, a floating needle that's red and black. We only care about the red portion. The red portion is our magnetic north. The second thing we want to worry about is a red hollow arrow. This is called the shed or the doghouse. So if I say put red in the shed, or the dog in the doghouse, or the needle in the doghouse, all we care about is that red portion lining up perfectly centered inside of that hollow red arrow. Okay, so now with that basic understanding and that knowledge, the main purpose of a compass is to walk a straight line. I want to create an imaginary straight line that I can walk on, and then turn right back around, use my reverse azimuth, and come right back. Now, let's put all the things we talked about together. I'm facing this direction, and I know it's west. It's exactly west. So looking down at my bezel ring, I'm going to put the W on that tick mark that's on my base plate. I'm now going to stand up, and I'm going to take my index finger and thumb on both my hands, and I'm going to hold the back of the compass like this. I'm going to keep it perfectly level and look straight down. I'm then going to rotate my body until that red portion of that needle is perfectly centered inside of my hollow arrow. My tick mark on my base plate is pointing that direction. W is right underneath it, so I know now that I'm facing exactly on a west line. Okay, so we're facing due west. If you're looking at the numbers on your bezel ring, that's 270 degrees. So I'm facing an imaginary line or an azimuth of 270 degrees. Now I want to take all of this that I see, and I want to narrow it down to about an 1/8 inch and create that imaginary line that we talked about by using our compass. So to do that, I'm going to raise my hands up like a pistol, keeping my compass straight and level. I'm then going to tilt that mirror down until I can see the reflection of that bezel ring and that red inside the shed, where it's horizontally in line with my eyeball. So I'm still locked into the 270 degrees. I'm then going to look through an oval window right here and see a V-notch and sight an object out there in the woods. Once I see a tree or a rock or something in that V-notch, I can close my compass and simply walk to that object, and I know I'm walking a straight line or an azimuth of 270 degrees, or due west. Okay, we're walking. we realize this is no longer fun. I want to go home. I don't want to just turn around and wander through the woods. That's how you get lost. If the top tick mark tells us where we're going, and the bottom one tells us where we were, that's our reverse azimuth. So 270, I look straight down here, and I see 90. All we're going to do is dial our bezel ring to 90 degrees to our top tick mark. Rotate my body around, keeping the compass level, getting that red in the shed or that needle in the doghouse. And do the exact same thing. Extend my arms, tilt my mirror, look through that oval window, sight an object out in the distance, and I can now walk my reverse azimuth of 90 degrees back to my start point. Okay, so that right there is basic compass use. There's a whole lot more, but that's just the basics. The purpose of a compass is to walk a straight line. You know, the top tick mark on your base plate tells you where you're going, or your azimuth. The bottom one tells you where you were, your reverse azimuth. You now can shoot an azimuth by rotating your bezel ring to the number or direction that you want to go. And you can also lock that magnetic needle or that red portion into the hollow arrow or shed, guaranteeing you're walking that imaginary straight line. When you're done, you can turn back around using your bottom tick mark or your reverse azimuth by dialing that to the top. When you go out, you walk out, you can walk back. All right, 8:27 p.m. About 30 minutes of light left, and then darkness will fall. Just going to keep it short and sweet. My usual thank you to all my old subs, all my new subs. I appreciate every single one of you, and I love every single one of you. The past 4 weeks have been rough on YouTube. I've been bombarded by people telling me, to the point where it's wearing me out, that they're being unsubscribed. They can't find the videos. I'm out of their feeds. They weren't notified. I know, and there's nothing I can do about it except sit here and keep toiling. So I'm asking that you just keep doing what you're doing. Watch my videos all the way to the end, share them with everyone, everywhere. Get me back to the top of that playlist. And as always, show YouTube that you want Corporals Corner, because they're having a hard time understanding that. And we're going to give them Corporals Corner regardless. Okay, so it's summertime, and we rarely do dessert on my channel. So I got thinking families are going to go out, take the kids out, so it's time for Corporal to introduce you to the Smoreo. Get a large marshmallow, cook it to your liking. Get an Oreo cookie, carefully break it apart. Take your marshmallow, place it inside, and enjoy that gooey nastiness / awesomeness. Okay, so here we are, we're inside of our shelter. Obviously enough room in here for one person and their gear, or two people cramped up with their gear. This thing measures about 7.5 feet, so you can put your gear in the back or the front and get two people in here. So it is what it is. It was used for decades and it still works. So it's the kind of thing where you're doing it for real, you hate it, and then you get out and for some reason you're drawn back to it. Kind of like that smell. Once you smell it, you can't unsmell it, but then you remember it. I don't know. weird psychology thing. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, is what it is. So I'm here. It's 10 o'clock, and catch you all in the morning. Ooh, scary. Yep, tastes like crap. Hammered crap with dirty socks. Oh, God. Yeah. Let's talk about this shelter. Old school military gear. Cotton canvas shelter half, 2 shelter halves. Made our military pup tent. From there we dug our trench around it to facilitate water runoff. There was no rain in the forecast, yet here we are. And it worked out well. The inside was dry, so water is running off of this, and I'm happy with that. The ground's a nice, soupy, muddy mess, and inside was dry. We dug our fire pit, nothing special, just a hole in the ground, and it worked out well. From there we went to our MRE, talked about date codes. From there we had a hip pocket class on land navigation, and from there we went ahead and had our delicious dessert called the Smoreo. Nice night. Different from the usual builds, but got the old school gear out here in the field and enjoyed ourselves. So next week I got something big coming, so stick with me. Yeah. And there you go, solo overnight using old school military gear. Just goes to prove, once again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. With that, all the gear in my videos can be found in 2 places. 1 on my Amazon influencer page, and 2 my Self-Reliance Outfitters influencer page. And if you're interested in Corporals Corner merchandise, that can be found on Teespring. All 3 links are found inside my description box. Now please do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. And as always, thank you for your comments, views, and support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm going to catch you next time.